Reverse psychology is like the sneaky cousin of straight-up persuasion. You know, when someone tells you not to do something and suddenly that's all you want to do? It's like being told, don't look down. And of course, what do? You look down. That's reverse psychology in action. And guess what? Manipulators absolutely love this trick. Why? Because it works. Let's dive into how they use it so you can spot it before you fall for it. Let's start with a story. Imagine you're at a car dealership. You're there just to look around, maybe dream a little, but definitely not to buy. The salesperson approaches with a grin so wide it's almost suspicious. You tell them, I'm just looking. I'm not buying today. They nod and say, of course, take your time. But, you know, this model here is so popular that it'll probably be gone by the weekend. But hey, no pressure. It's not for everyone. Wait a minute. What just happened? They didn't push you to buy it. In fact, they practically told you not to buy it, hinting that maybe it's not the right fit for you. And now, suddenly you're thinking, is this car really that good? Maybe I should buy it before someone else does. You've just been hit with reverse psychology, my friend. Manipulators use reverse psychology because it taps into a basic human instinct, the desire to assert our independence. We don't like being told what to do. We want to make our own choices. And when someone subtly suggests we can't or shouldn't do something, our brain does a little rebellion dance. We think, oh yeah? Watch me. It's like when you were a kid and your parents told you not to touch something. That was pretty much an invitation to touch it, wasn't it? But here's where it gets tricky. Manipulators use this instinct to steer you exactly where they want you to go, all while making you think it was your idea. It's like a psychological judo move, using your own momentum against you. Let's look at another scenario. You're out with friends, and someone suggests going to a new restaurant. You're not too sure about it. Then one of your friends says, you probably won't like it. It's a bit too adventurous for your taste. Now hold on. Are they questioning your sense of adventure? Suddenly you're all in, ready to prove that you're as adventurous as they come. You've just been nudged ever so gently into doing exactly what they wanted. Reverse psychology can also show up in more serious situations like relationships. Picture this. Your partner wants to spend more time together, but instead of asking directly, they say, you probably don't have time for us this weekend. You're too busy with your own stuff. What happens? You start feeling guilty, and suddenly, you're clearing your weekend to spend time together. It's a classic move, one that plays on your emotions and your need to be a good partner. But not all reverse psychology is this obvious. Sometimes, it's wrapped up in a compliment or a seemingly innocent remark. Maybe a colleague says, you probably wouldn't be interested in this project. It's a bit outside your expertise. Now you're thinking, outside my expertise? I'll show them. And before you know it, you're knee-deep in a project you didn't even want. So, how do you spot reverse psychology before it trips you up? First, take a moment to step back. Whenever you feel an urge to prove someone wrong, ask yourself, why do I suddenly want to do this? Was this really my idea? If it feels like you're being challenged or your ego is being poked, chances are reverse psychology is at play. Also, watch out for statements that sound like they're giving you an out, but are really baiting you. Phrases like, you don't have to, or it's not really for you, are often cues that someone's trying to steer your decisions without you realizing it. Another thing to keep in mind is that reverse psychology often plays on our insecurities. If someone knows you're sensitive about a particular issue, they might use that against you. For example, if they know you hate being seen as unreliable, they might say, don't worry about it. I know you've got too much on your plate to help with this. Now, instead of saying no like you planned, you're jumping in to prove that you're not unreliable at all. And that's the crux of reverse psychology. It uses your own motivations and insecurities to push you in a certain direction. It's like a magic trick where the manipulator waves one hand to distract you, while the other hand does the real work. Now, let's talk about why this works so well. It's all about control. Manipulators don't want to directly control you. That's too obvious and can backfire. Instead, they want you to feel like you're making your own choices even when you're not. Reverse psychology is the perfect tool for this. It's subtle, it's sneaky, and it gives you the illusion of control. But here's the thing, once you know how it works, you can take that control back. When you start to recognize the patterns of reverse psychology, you can decide whether you really want to do something or if you're just reacting to someone else's manipulation. Let's flip the script a bit. Imagine you're in a situation where someone is clearly using reverse psychology on you. They say, you don't need to bother with that. It's probably too complicated for you anyway. Instead of taking the bait, you can smile and say, you're right. I'll pass on this one. Now, who's in control? You are. But what if you're not sure whether someone's using reverse psychology or just making an innocent comment? Here's a little trick. Ask for clarification. If someone says, you probably won't like this, respond with, why do you think that? If they start backpedaling or getting vague, that's a sign that they might have been trying to manipulate you. On the other hand, if they have a solid reason, then maybe they're just being honest. Either way, you've put yourself back in the driver's seat. It's also important to trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. We all have a gut feeling when we're being manipulated, even if we don't always listen to it. Pay attention to those little warning bells. They're there for a reason. Now, let's have some fun with this. Have you ever noticed how reverse psychology pops up in movies and TV shows? It's a favorite tactic of villains and tricksters. Think of any scene where the bad guy says something like, "You're too scared to do this," knowing full well that the hero will jump right in to prove them wrong. It's a classic move, and it's a great reminder that reverse psychology is all about pushing people's buttons. But it's not just the villains who use it. Even the good guys get in on the action sometimes. Like when a mentor figure says, "You're not ready for this challenge," knowing that their student will rise to the occasion just to prove them wrong. It's reverse psychology wrapped in a pep talk, and it works like a charm. So, the next time you're watching a movie or show, keep an ear out for reverse psychology. You might be surprised how often it pops up. And once you start spotting it on screen, you'll be better equipped to spot it in real life too. But let's get back to the real world, because that's where the stakes are higher. Reverse psychology can be harmless, even fun in small doses. But when it's used to manipulate you into making big decisions, it's a different story. That's when it can cross the line from playful to harmful. Think about a time when you made a decision that didn't feel right in your gut. Maybe you agreed to something you didn't really want to do, or you bought something you didn't need, all because someone planted the idea in your head. That's the power of reverse psychology. It can make you second-guess yourself and override your better judgment. But here's the good news. The more you understand how reverse psychology works, the less power it has over you. You can take a step back, think things through, and make decisions that are right for you, not just reactions to someone else's manipulation. So let's recap. Reverse psychology is all about making you think something is your idea when it's really someone else's. It plays on your need to assert your independence, your insecurities, and your desire to prove yourself. It's sneaky, it's subtle, and it can be incredibly effective if you're not aware of it. But now that you know the tricks, you're one step ahead. You can spot reverse psychology when it's happening, decide whether you want to go along with it, and keep control of your own decisions. And remember, if someone tries to use reverse psychology on you, you can always turn it around. After all, two can play at this game. In the end, reverse psychology is like a tool. It can be used for good or bad, depending on the intention behind it. The key is to recognize when it's being used on you and to decide for yourself how you want to respond. Because at the end of the day, the only person who should be in control of your choices is you. So the next time someone says, "You probably shouldn't do that," take a moment, think it through. Are they really looking out for you? Or are they trying to nudge you in a direction that benefits them? If it's the latter, smile, nod, and do what's best for you, because you've just seen through their little trick.